with the upset of the year thus far against Syracuse. A 2-1 victory.
It's been a week of high and lows for Temple sports. Men's soccer pulls off one of the biggest upsets of the season.
But football was unable to get the win on homecoming weekend.
And I'm Kayla Levine. Later in the show, I'll be talking about Temple's marching band and how long it prepares for them to get up for each upcoming game. OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now.
Hello everyone and welcome to OwlSports Update. He's Patty Heckard, I'm Natalie Coranda, and it has been a real exciting week for Temple Athletics.
More specifically, men's soccer. The Owls have followed up an 8-game winless streak with back-to-back wins, and the latest win is one of the bigger in program history. On paper, this game didn't look at all like it would be a close one. The Owls, with one win on the year, traveling to Syracuse on Tuesday to take on the 10th-ranked team in the nation, not to mention the defending national champs. But 90 minutes later, the Owls picked up one of the bigger upsets in all of college soccer. Temple traveled to upstate New York on Wednesday to face Syracuse at SU Soccer Stadium. Early in the first half, Tesho Kobayashi plays a perfect through ball for Leighton Imparazzo and nicks it past the goalie to make it 1-0. Midway through the second, Syracuse gets across into the box to Josh Balouse, but he heads it straight into the hands of Flannan Riley. Now 3 minutes left in the game, and Syracuse has a corner. Buster Schoberg gets on the other end of the cross and sets up Gabriel McKenna to tie the game at 1. Temple goes on the attack quickly after. Rocco Hoifglockner plays it to Felix Ewald. Ewald drives it forward and lays it to Hoifglockner at the top of the box, and he sends it into the top corner to win it in the last 2 minutes of the game. Temple gets its second win of the season. Final score, 2-1.
The Owls started off their season on a winless streak. In the first 8 games, they lost 5 and tied 3 with their opponents outscoring them by 25. But they have won the last 2 games, and it looks like the Owls season is taking a positive turn, especially after beating the defending national champs.
While there's much to celebrate, the team plays again in just a few days. This Saturday versus South Florida at the Sports Complex as the Owls jump back into conference play. To football versus Texas San Antonio. Temple had a season-high attendance at the Link last Saturday, over 18,000 fans in attendance for Temple home game. First drive of the game, Temple start hot. David Martin Robinson brings in Warner's pass for a touchdown. Now on to Temple's next drive. Joquez Smith gets the toss, takes it outside for 11 yards, but fumbles before he's brought down. UTSA gets the ball back in great field position. And it didn't take long for the Roadrunners to score. Kavorian Barnes brings it in for 6 just 3 plays later. Game now tied at 7. E.J. Warner finds David Martin Robinson again. It's caught at the 33, and thanks to some great blocking, he takes it all the way for a touchdown. Now in the second half, Frank Harris lofts one up towards the end zone, and it's brought down by Tyke Ogle-Kellogg to make it 35-21 UTSA. Temple with the ball in the 4th on 4th down. Darvon Hubbard gets the pass and takes it for 36 yards and a first down. Temple down by 8 late in the 4th, and another deep toss by Harris makes it to Devin McEwen and catches it for the last score of the game. UTSA puts the game out of reach for Temple. Final score, 49-34.
They had an answer for when we didn't, get our job done on defense, and they had an answer for the turnovers. So, these are just 2 things that, never been a good formula for winning football games. So,
for sure, yeah. I think it was one of our better games, but we made a couple critical turnovers that hurt our team. So, not perfect, and we know we need to get better. I think I've improved just physically, being stronger and bigger to be able to do that, but just want to show my team that I'll put my body on the line, and when we need to put my head down to get some yards, that I will, and definitely an area I've hopefully improved on.
There was the loss, but it was still a festive time at the Link. School spirit was high for the homecoming matchup while family, friends, and alumni tailgated before the game. From live performances to free food and merch, Temple fans celebrated even in poor weather. With over 18,000 people in the stands of the Link, it was the most the Owls have seen in the stadium all season. But as we know, the lively environment did not match the outcome of the game. Inside the Nest beat reporter Hayden Bandel has more on what went wrong. Hey, Hayden.
Hey, Natalie. Both sides of the ball have not looked good overall this season. On the offensive side, Stan Drayton said his team still has not played a complete game. Although they scored 34 points, the most against an FBS opponent this season, they were scoreless for nearly 20 minutes to start the second half. And in the first half, they fumbled the ball not once, but twice. When we look at Everett Withers' defense, the Owls have really hit a rough patch, allowing 40-plus points in 3 consecutive games for the first time since 2006. However, they have been improving in certain areas. In their first conference game against Tulsa, players were called out of position at different times throughout the game. 1 week later against UTSA, the Owls had players in the right positions, but at times the issue was more about lack of execution. Guys, that's all I have for my breakdown today. We'll see if the Owls can improve this week against North Texas. Thanks for having me on. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Hayden. Yes, up next, North Texas. But are they really the Mean Green from the outside of Dallas, or will this be a competitive game? We are going to take a look at how the Mean Green did this past weekend against Navy. The matchup took place at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis. In the Mean Green's first drive out of the no huddle, Ayo Adeyi rushes to the middle to gain 18 yards to a first down. Late in the first quarter, North Texas now up by 3. QB Blake Horvath gets the snap on a QB keeper and goes to the outside for 6. Navy's Dabo Fofana rushes the middle for an 18-yard gain, earning a first down. Chandler Rogers completes an 18-yard pass to the end zone to Jamori Macklin for a touchdown. The score now 20-17 in the last 7 minutes. Alec Texa rushes up the middle for 21 yards and earns the final touchdown of the game, securing a win. The final score, 27-24.
Temple is hoping to end its 3-game losing streak in Texas on Saturday, but I'm not sure the Owls will leave the Lone Star State with a win. North Texas QB Chandler Rogers has averaged 300 passing yards in his last 3 games and hasn't thrown a pick since week 1. Not to mention, the Mean Green average 190 rushing yards a game. With that being said, I'm predicting a Temple loss on Saturday, 34-24. We are now coming up on our first break of the show, but don't go anywhere.
When we return, we'll talk about the 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and we'll take a look ahead to the start of the men's and women's basketball seasons. Stick around.
Welcome back. 8 new members were inducted into the Temple Sports Hall of Fame on Friday at the Temple Athletics Hall of Fame Gala. This event is hosted every year at the Liacouras Center to honor the men and women who have contributed significantly towards the success of Temple athletic programs. It's that one night of the year where the best of the past come back to Temple to celebrate. Last Friday, Temple Athletics inducted its 37th Hall of Fame class. Every year, a selection committee chooses a number of people to be represented in the Temple Sports Hall of Fame. This year's group includes All-Americans and NCAA champions.
Anytime you have a Hall of Honor, it recognizes great achievements of the past. It's extremely important for us to honor and recognize great accomplishments, what they did, the time that they invested to achieve what they chose, the acclaim that they brought to the university.
The class of 2023 consists of 7 athletes and 1 administrator across many sports, including golf, fencing, basketball, and baseball. While some of these inductees graduated from Temple in the 21st century, others being recognized graduated from Temple more than 50 years ago. This includes Earl Chu, who graduated in 1973 as one of Temple's top baseball players.
I didn't recognize the campus, everything that was here, the dormitories, the gym, everything. They tore it all down. So they're driving me up here, and I said, "What's that? What's that?" I didn't have a clue where I was. 0.
Although it's been some time since their last visit, the inductees are grateful for the opportunity to play for Temple and to be acknowledged for their contributions to the school, like Temple alumnus Walter Brown, a 1976 graduate being inducted for his success at golf.
I put a lot of effort into coming here to Temple back in the 70s, and to be recognized for the accomplishments that I made is truly humbling. And never think this is going to happen. And
Two of the inductees, but there are 6 more members of the class of 2023 we've yet to mention. 2 fencers are joining the hall this year, Dr. Kawali Thompson and Jeffrey Ham. Former first-round draft pick and member of John Chaney's last team at Temple, Marty Collins. 3-time All-American gymnast Michael Moran swings into the Hall of Fame. Barbara Hickquester, a starter on Temple's undefeated and national champion women's lacrosse team in 1998. And administrator Nadia Batson-Harvin, who's been working with Temple Athletics since 1985.
There always seems to be at least one person in the Hall of Fame class who played basketball. And the newest crew to suit up is less than a month away from opening day. OwlSports Update's Tamar Stubbs is with us at the studio set to talk about preseason conference polls and his predictions. Hey, Tamar.
Thanks, guys. Earlier this week, the AAC released the women's and men's preseason polls. As you might expect, with the first-year head coach on the men's side and a second-year coach on the women's side, both teams are picked to finish in the bottom half. Starting with the women's team, they are placed 9th in the preseason poll, 2 steps down from being 7th last year. Last season, their record was 11-18 overall and 6-10 in the AAC. This team has a ton of new faces. If you remember last year, back to last February, head coach Diane Richardson dismissed several players, leaving the Owls with almost no bench players for the better part of a month.
Well, now we have a full squad, so, they don't have to put me in. So we've got a full squad. We've got some depth. We've added some impact players as well. So I'm excited about this year. We'll be able to play at our pace, and we'll have depth on the bench.
Just going back to energy and effort, just having that no matter who's on the court, no matter what your role. Coach Rich talked about roles a lot. We even had a team retreat where we talked about, what are we bringing to this team? Everybody's a puzzle piece. And whether we have 8 or 15 this year, it doesn't matter. Like, everybody brings their own personal thing, but what you can't change is your energy and effort. That's something that you can control by yourself. So I feel like just centralizing and, really putting an emphasis on that is something that we need for this season to persevere through the rest of the season.
That woman you just saw there, Aaliyah Nelson, is on the AAC's preseason all-conference second team, averaging 15 points and 4 assists last year. Nelson is capable of leading the AAC in points this season. She is the centerpiece for the Owls if they are looking to improve. Now transitioning to the men's, who are placed at 12th in the AAC preseason poll, 7 steps back from a year ago, who was almost an entirely new team with a new head coach and with about half of his roster being replaced. The pressure is on players like Hazira Miller to help navigate Temple against new conference competitors like FAU, UAB, and North Texas. But those are just preseason polls. There are still a few weeks until we see both of these team actions in the season and opens in November. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Tamar Stubbs, Natalie and Patty. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Tamar. September 15th to October 15th is National Hispanic Heritage Month. Even though it is a busy month for Temple athletics, Hispanic athletes make time to celebrate. OwlSports Update's Jackson Batchelor has the story.
There are almost 30 players on the men's soccer team representing about a dozen different cultural backgrounds. For freshman midfielder Elias Betancourt, he's proud of his heritage. It's something he brings to practice and to the playing field in his first season at Temple.
For my roots, I would say something that's important to me is family. For me, I really enjoy family gatherings, eating Cuban food, having my family cook Cuban food, dancing together and stuff like that. And here at Temple as well, we're a group, we're a family. It's very similar to that, and something I really enjoy. Yeah.
Even though athletes like Betancourt get to celebrate their roots in Philly for the first year, other athletes, such as senior fencing player Diana Tiburcio, have been able to enjoy this month thanks to her Mexican heritage for the last 4 years.
I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of really great people, and I think when it comes back to heritage, I feel like I've taken these 4 years to also try to reconnect with parts that I really admire about Mexican culture, and I think Philadelphia in general and Temple has really helped me with that journey of trying to connect with my roots.
Unlike Betancourt, Tiburcio is not yet in season. While Diana is still practicing, she uses her free time to connect with her culture.
Although the goal for both athletes is to have strong seasons, National Hispanic Heritage Month means something to them, something they can share with others. Reporting from the TU Pavilion, I'm Jackson Batchelor, OwlSports Update.
We are coming up on our next break, but don't go anywhere. When we return, Teamwork is back featuring field hockey.
But before that, the football season wouldn't be the same without the marching band. And we'll hear from our own Kayla Levine as to why. OwlSports Update will be back in 90 seconds. Welcome back. The marching band is present at every Temple football and basketball home game, putting on a performance to keep an active crowd at games. OwlSports Update's Kayla Levine is live at Giese Field to tell us more on the prep they go through every week. Hey, Kayla.
Thanks, guys. The Temple Marching Band puts up hours of work each week. They continue to show their dedication and devotion into learning and performing new music for each of the upcoming football games. No matter if Temple wins or loses, the marching band is always there to keep the energy up at all times. The Temple Athletic Band doesn't count success with wins and losses, but that's not for the lack of effort.
I think a lot of band members would definitely say that we are closer to a sports team than a lot, but yeah, it's just a lot of hard work, but it makes it worth it in the while.
That work 3 days per week for 2 hours at each practice. And that doesn't include the 12 to 14 hours on game days for football and basketball. And homecoming is a prime example. This past Saturday, the marching band prepared themselves for their biggest game of the season. Like all other teams here at Temple, the band practices multiple times a week and continues to learn new materials throughout the season. Pressure to perform comes with playing in front of thousands, but thanks to the band's busy routine, the halftime show didn't disappoint at homecoming with band leader Matt Brunner.
As far as the band goes, I'm sure a lot of them put a lot of pressure on themselves to make sure that everything's right and everything's clean. I think when we get to game day, usually that's a little bit more relaxing in a way because we're not learning anything new.
Naturally, the countless hours in rehearsal brings a great sense of community for all 175 members in the band.
There's just so many relationships that I've made with friends and loved ones just from all these years of band.
The next home game is October 20th against SMU, and just as expected, the band will have a brand new routine prepared for halftime. That October 20th game is set for a 7 p.m. kickoff. From Giese Field, I'm Kayla Levine. Back to you guys at the desk.
Now it's time for our weekly segment where we take a team on campus and go over the team's dynamics, recent games, and key players, all to see how the team works during the season.
This week, we are talking about field hockey and its team dynamic, as well as improvements and struggles we have seen this season. Here are some things that head coach Michelle Vatisse and junior Tess Muller had to say about the team. The first point is sticking to their principles. Muller said that after they score, it's important for the team to reset and move on to the next play. Living up to the team's expectations, especially during its current 4-game losing streak, is vital. It is important for them to remember that this is a team game and winning is fun, but teamwork truly does make the dream work.
Coach Vatisse talked about how she wants the team to run in the spring and fall seasons. She wants to keep the spring as a development period for the team and the fall to focus on performance and results. For Coach, the fall shouldn't be the time for preparation, but rather the time to be ready to compete week in and week out once the season starts.
And expanding on performance, that brings us to our third point. It starts with the members of the team. It's never bad to have too much experience, and Temple has plenty. There is a good mix on the team with 9 seniors and grad students and 6 freshmen. They have the capability of preparing these younger players. Leadership and being competitive on and off the field will lead the team in the right direction.
Now let's see those points in action. We picked a play on offense and defense to highlight some of their principles live in game. Starting with the offense, here's Temple on a penalty corner against UConn last month. They're going to send it to the top of the circle, but they're going to fumble a little bit. They're going to lose the ball, but they're going to recover well. We'll see Julia Bunch come in, recover the ball, bring it outside, and gather all this pressure towards the outside and find Tess Muller wide open right in front of goal for the score.
And now moving on to the defense, LIU sets up a penalty corner and hits it to the top of the circle. The ball is passed to the right and they try crossing the goal in hopes of finding a shot, but a supportive defense stops the play and Molly Frey, the goalie, dives for the save.
Field hockey will be looking to break its 4-game losing streak this week with games against Georgetown and Delaware. This concludes this edition of Teamwork. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be back to cover another team on campus.
We are at our final break of the show, and when we return, we will take a look at the club baseball team moving to a new division.
Look at its upcoming weekend sports schedule. OwlSports Update will be back in 90 seconds. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. We're currently in the middle of a red October here in Philadelphia. OwlSports Update's Selena Turner has the story on Temple Club baseball and its hope for a cherry October and a new division this fall.
It's a new season with the same expectations for Temple's club baseball team. But this year, there is no question, it's going to be harder. The Owls won the 2022 Chesapeake Regional, and with this prize comes a move up to a more competitive division.
We actually got promoted to Division I this year. We were in Division II last year, but we still expect to win our conference here and make regionals, and then hopefully win regionals and get to the nationals again.
The Owls practice 2 days per week for 2 hours at either the TU Pavilion or here at Kesey Field, and they play their games at Skip Wilson Field in Ambler.
In practice-wise, we're just setting the tone and making everybody know we're a team to be reckoned with. You know, we're here to win.
The Owls graduated 12 seniors in last year's team that finished 18-6. Those included all regional players such as Kevin Wigan and Steve Vogel.
What we had to do this year is kind of fill in these spots and got some younger guys on the team. Thankfully, everyone's fitting in like phenomenally. I think we're going to have a great run this year. The freshmen and sophomores and rookies are really stepping it up. And we're just having clean practice after clean practice and getting ready for Loyola.
The Owls will travel to Maryland to take on Loyola October 14th, a team that went 6-9 in the conference this previous season. Reporting live from Kesey Field, I'm Selena Turner, OwlSports Update.
Club baseball has its first 2 games of the season at Loyola on October 15th and 16th. The team hosts its first home series of the week after to play Drexel on the 21st and 22nd. Away at Westchester is next on the schedule for the Owls on the 28th and 29th, and Temple Club Baseball closes out its fall season with 2 games at home against Towson. The team also announced 2 of its spring series with games against St. Joe's and Delaware in April.
The weekend begins with volleyball hosting ECU on both Friday and Saturday. Both tennis teams are away. The women take on Navy and the men play Princeton. On Saturday, football travels for a 12 p.m. matchup against North Texas. Both men's and women's cross country will participate in the Pirate Invitational in Greenville, North Carolina. Men's soccer hosts UCF at 4. To end the weekend, crew and rowing are back on the Schuylkill for the Navy Day Regatta. And finally, women's soccer is home against UTSA. That does it for the show this week. Make sure to follow us on socials at OwlSports Update to stay up to date on this weekend's matchups.
Fall is finally kicking into full gear. Throw in that plaid shirt, grab some pumpkin spice, and most importantly, join us back on the desk in 2 weeks.
For our entire crew, I'm Natalie Coranda. He's Patty Heckard. Thank you for joining us and have a great weekend.